Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the very first night here of the Victoris League of Legends Rival Series Spring 2022. I'm Infinite Dodge. I'm so happy to be joined tonight by Shogun and Kongman. How are we doing, guys?
Doing pretty good.
We're
Glad to
doing all
hear
right.
it. Glad to hear that. So, normally we would have a pretty epic pre show planned out for you guys. We had bit of hiccups tonight getting that rolling, but in the future, do expect some really killer analysis from the big brains over here on VRS Thursdays. And just to jump right into it, for those of you who are not aware, VRS is a $1,400 prize pool tournament. We have 4 teams of 7 groups apiece competing. $1,000 goes to the winner of the whole shebang, and $400 for second place. We have a lot of great teams competing this split. And let's hear a little bit about some of our favorite teams to watch out for, including one we will be seeing tonight, Dorado Gaming Zeta, who won our New Year's kickoff tournament. What should we be looking for out of these guys?
For Dorado Gaming Zeta, just in general, since I don't know if this is the same exact team specifically that made it to semis last year. But if it is, I always like the banter that they bring. It's not too BM, but when they do bring that banter, they like to back it up, and I like that kind of competitive edge that they bring to the table. So gonna be excited to see how they're able to back up any banter that they have this split. And then of course other teams that may not be competing on stream tonight are ones like Moon Crew Gaming was one of my personal favorites watching them. They actually performed 2 splits ago really well. I believe they at least made it to playoffs. I think it was quarter semis that they fell short in though. So excited to see them play whenever we get the chance.
Yeah, absolutely the case. As far as Dorado Gaming Zeta's roster is concerned, mostly the same. We do actually see Shima, previously of Rising Tide Tsunami, coming over into mid lane there for Dorado Gaming. He was with them for the New Year's D4 Cap kickoff tournament, which, if you missed, you folks at home, was an absolute banger of an event. It was Dorado Gaming taking the whole thing in the finals against Limitless Sakura. And yeah, they just look really good all around. Definitely a bunch of spicy memers over on that team. So it'll be exciting to see how they come swinging out the gates here tonight. Speaking of swinging out the gates, I do have to ask, as this is a new segment we get to do this year on the Victorious Cast, let's get the predictions, guys. Who do we actually think is going to come out victorious in Victorious here tonight?
I definitely want to go ahead and say between the matchup of Dorado Gaming Zeta and Team Disco. I mean, as much as I would love to see Team Disco actually, throwing down some good dance moves on the Rift, I'm afraid that unfortunately, Dorado Gaming Zeta is just going to be the superior team out here, and I see a quick, swift 2-0 victory.
All
Yeah.
right. We have the Dorado 2-0 call. What about you, my friend Shogun over there? What do we think is going to be going down tonight?
Thinking something very similar with their roster. It is pretty solid, Dorado Gaming Zeta. I mean, if you just look at ranks alone, which isn't everything, but if I was only going off of that, I'd probably go ahead and say Dorado Gaming Zeta. If you look at the past performances of this team, though, which is more important to me, I just have to go with them again in a 2-0. But first week shenanigans are a very real thing. I think there's some room for an upset. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw out the 2-1 just to spice things up, but still Dorado Gaming Zeta favored.
That definitely makes sense. You got to consider both of those factors there. And then, as far as some other teams we should look at, not just to be excited for, but maybe to challenge across the league here with Dorado Gaming towards the top, do we have any picks around that area, or are we still waiting to see how things develop as the split goes on?
I have a little bit of a personal bias, but if we look over in Group B, I'm a big fan of the Oasis Esport Cloud. I've just always known about Oasis Esports for a while since one of my friends is one of their team members. So a little bit of personal bias, but I personally think that I will see them more than likely in semifinals.
Yeah, if I do remember correctly, they were actually finalists in the previous LRS. Of course, we did rebrand over the offseason from Legends to Victoris, so the now VRS was then the LRS. I do believe they did make LRS finals last split. Close match against Rising Tide, who is definitely my pick to watch here in VRS. Great organization, although they did lose a lot of firepower with Shima. They're very, very good mid laner, actually moving over to Dorado Gaming Zeta. But yeah, so Oasis Esports Cloud, definitely a great team. I do believe they even 3-0'd or 3-1 that final against Rising Tide, so definitely a great pick to look out for here. Keep your eye on them as we do progress. And then what do we know about Disco? Because Dorado Gaming, I don't want to spend, focus all our time piling on them. Obviously, they're a great team, we can agree. But what sort of praises can we throw the way of Team Disco, so to speak? What is it that we're looking out for in terms of style from these guys?
Well, I know they competed last split. I don't know if I got the chance to cast them personally. I think if they were on stream, it was one of the weeks that I was out. But taking just a very quick look at their roster, it does seem like they're going to be focusing a lot on the ADC position. I can see a lot of good things coming out of Dario Lipa. I believe that's what that name is. A lot of games put in this season already, and someone who's that dedicated definitely want to look for some results there. So hopefully that'll end up being the case, but a lot of that's also going to come down to where the jungler is going to want to play towards. But looking at the type of champions that he plays, the Vayne, the Kai'Sa, a lot of these scaling ADCs that want to get the ball rolling early, having that jungler in the presence of the bot lane will make that easier. So if they
Yeah,
do a good job of that, I think they could really take off.
absolutely, absolutely. ADC definitely in a stronger position than we've seen in a while right now in the early goings of the season. Just out of curiosity, you said it's a lot of games played already. We've been in this season, what, 3.5 weeks, more or less? How many games is it?
He's up to 86 games right now.
I
He's got a
could never.
yeah, it's definitely not the most I've seen, but I mean it's more than I could put in that amount of time. So yeah, it's already pretty crazy.
Just touching on the current season we're in, especially with a patch hitting today, is there anything we're looking at, definitely in terms of affecting these scaling 80 carries or any sort of power picks? I should mention Zeri, who has come out today, is disabled. We will not be seeing her. She is not available for the teams. But are there any other changes we should be looking out for that might have an impact on this matchup or the league in general going forward?
I'll let you take that if you want it.
I really don't believe like too much. I know this is gonna be a hot take. I'm sure someone's gonna flame me in chat for this, but I'm pretty sure like this patch, not a whole lot has changed. So I feel like we're still gonna kind of be in the same meta as we have been for the past season. As you know, like little number changes can happen. This is day one of the patch, so I will probably be proved wrong tonight. But that's just half the fun of whenever a new patch drops and you're just forced to play on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the case, as I do believe we are actually ready. The teams are ready and raring to go to kick off the split for us here. So, if there are no other final points to be made, I do believe we are ready to throw it on over to Champ Select.
Nothing from me. I am also very ready and very excited to get into game number one here.
All
Yeah.
right, boys, enjoy your cast. I'll see you on the other end of it.
Alrighty, thank you so much. As we are getting into the draft here, let's see. I believe we have the link. There it is, of course. We're already underway with that Trundle ban from Dorado. Going to be taken away here as Disco Dancer is going to be getting rid of that Gragas.
Yeah, definitely. So for those of you who don't know, I am a big jungler player. Trundle's actually one of my least favorite jungles to play against. So just seeing him banned, I mean, I already like Doggos already. We're just gonna be throwing that out there.
I do also like the Lulu band that does kind of dissuade Disco from going towards that Jinx in the bot lane. One of the stronger picks in general. I think Jinx Lulu is absolutely monstrous. Not only just because of how strong they are outside of lane, they can actually be pretty annoying to deal with in lane if you play it correctly. I've seen, and the Jinx is just going to straight up be taken away from Disco because they don't want Dorado taking that away with the B1. However, I do feel like that leaves up some uncontested ADCs for them to go ahead and lock in here. So we'll see what they are thinking of. What are you thinking of for B1?
Well, definitely just trying to think like who's good right now. We're actually not going to be seeing ADC picked first. Instead, Hecarim's just going to be insta-locked for the jungle. But thinking ADC wise, since we do have Kai'Sa, Jinx banned, I believe like your other good ADCs right now, like with Lulu gone, you can't really take Kog'Maw because Kog'Maw Lulu's really good. Lulu's gone and they just banned Jinx, so Jinx Lulu is not viable. I mean, you could pick Ezreal if you want to be super slippery. You could pick Misfortune if you just want to stabilize the lane. Or Caitlyn if you just want to be like super aggro. Just really depends on what your team wants to do.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the Hecarim dissuades some of those ADC picks. Ones that can just get absolutely run down, like the Misfortune does not have a lot of ways to deal with that. Would probably have to end up having Peel like a Mumu or in the jungle, and then also having a support like Nautilus, a great pick into the Hecarim, but they're going to go ahead and take away the Karma, making sure that that Karma can't link up with the Hecarim.
Yeah, I definitely know how annoying it is to have a Karma linking up with the Hecarim. I do know that the worst thing is whenever you have a Hecarim with a Yuumi sitting on top of it, that's just a nightmare to see running through the jungle at you.
And something that could be even scarier coming out of this team is they could end up going Caitlyn with Morgana. Morgana paired up with the Hecarim is even worse to deal with, but they're going to go ahead and pick that Zilean. Could be flexed mid or support, I feel like, as they're going to save their ADC for now or maybe after the second rotation. As no, I think picking Caitlyn here is a pretty solid choice.
Yeah, so anytime that I don't get a chance to play jungle, I really like playing the support role, as weird as that may sound. And Zilean has to be my favorite support, which I know hearing that from a jungle player has got to be kind of weird. So see, like right now, I'm kind of happy with all of these picks and bans at the moment. I feel like they're just attesting to me. They're making me proud.
Yeah, I mean, Zillion's a fun one in general. He has a lot of power, especially if you can hit that slow into that double bomb. It's pretty annoying to deal with. Of course, pairing that with Hecarim, giving him those speed buffs is pretty fun as well. That's always what I like to do with the Zillion, as that's a Darius being locked in. Just blind picked into the top lane, but they pick it at the right time, so they're going to go ahead and ban things that would be annoying for this Darius to deal with in the second rotation.
Yeah, as we already see, they're going to go ahead and ban Kled, which, I mean, you don't really see a lot of Kleds, but there are those few players. Like, I know one who sits around the Plat region. His name is Vex Dragon. I'm going to call him a Kled one trick. If he's in chat, I know he's going to yell at me for that. But honestly, if you know how to play Kled, you can easily just carry any game that's ever thrown at you, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, I have seen some of that firsthand myself. Pledge just absolutely taking over games like it's nothing. So don't blame them for banning that one away. It's also probably pretty annoying for Darius to deal with, considering that built-in grievous wounds that he gets. So taking that off the table, pretty smart, as well as the Mundo not wanting any of these kind of beefier top laners or top laners that can pretty much go wherever they want. Mundo, very known for doing so. Kled, also, as we just touched on, can do basically the same thing, just in a bit of a different way. He's just allowed to dismount, get rid of that tower aggro, whereas Mundo just kind of walks through it, not caring about any of the damage that he takes. So we'll see what Dorado ends up getting rid of here with their last ban.
It definitely looks like they're going to be banning Xayah, since Disco Dancers has yet to pick their ADC, and we did see them float that right before the swap over to Darius. Looks like they are going to be floating Jhin here, so I guess it was a good idea to take the Xayah away, or maybe Disco's tried to just debate them.
Could have been some mind games going on within the draft. Would have been kind of smart. I mean, Xayah's a good pick in general. I still think it's a good ban, even if you are baiting the pick in general, because Xayah, Xayah is very annoying for the Hecarim to deal with, just because of that ultimate that she has that allows her to get out of sticky situations. Jhin, on the other hand, a little bit easier to lock down, does not have a lot of mobility. Does get pretty fast though, so if he's allowed to get that movement speed off, get those autos off, he is going to be hard to pin down. But we'll see if they're able to peel for this Jhin effectively when you have an Orianna Hecarim coming after him with, of course, the speed buff from Zillion. That's going to be very annoying.
Yeah, this is definitely just the everyone hop on the back of Hecarim and he's gonna ride you into the Nexus base because, well, that's just the power of Hecarim because they
Yeah.
try to nerf him and then he's unplayable, so they just rebuff him and you're just stuck in this endless cycle of Hecarim. And then whenever you have a team like what Doggos has picked, it's just kind of not pretty.
Yes, they're hovering what they want to go ahead and choose for their mid lane, and they do lock in the Fizz. So a lot of what Disco wants to do is pretty much just win lane, win game. You have Darius, who bullies pretty much everybody in the top lane, should win the Gwen matchup at least once you hit like 2-3 levels. The first level is pretty notoriously good for Gwen, or I'm pretty sure Gwen has a solid level 1. Someone can flame me about that. Don't know top laners too much, but Darius, of course, very infamous as a lane bully. So that's going to be a tough matchup for Gwen. As in the bottom lane, Caitlyn does have that range on Jhin, but Jhin does have some solid damage to get him through this laning phase, as Fizz can very easily kill Orianna. I feel like at most stages of the game, maybe not like level 1, he gets bullied out with autos, but I mean, once he hits 6, that lane just feels absolutely over for the Orianna.
Yeah, just kind of looking at everything, definitely like Fizz can easily outplay Orianna. Orianna just kind of has to do like the mind games of getting out Fizz's W ability, where he does his little staff jump. I'll be honest, I don't know every League of Legends ability name. There's a lot to worry about.
There are a few.
Yeah. Gwen has a pretty decent early game into Darius. It's just the matter of knowing when to take your fight and when Darius wastes his abilities is the best way to put it. And then this jungle matchup is just literally who lands their ultimate first.
Yeah, that does make a good bit of sense. All about who wants to get in there first. I will say that when it comes to a team comp as a whole, I do think Dorado has outdrafted. I think their win condition is a lot more achievable, a lot more clear. But if Disco is able to just diff every lane, things can fall apart very quickly for that team fighting composition that Dorado have.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be really interesting. I mean, of course, we're just going to have to wait to see who exactly is going to come out on top, because anything could surprise us. For all we know, this Caitlyn could go 0-10 and just full on end. But I mean, this is on the side of Doggo, so I don't really think the Caitlyn's going to 0-10 end, but I mean, I've seen weirder.
Yeah, Caitlyn 0-10 inting does not seem too likely, but as you just said, seen weirder. And things can happen in a game number 1 scenario, you know. Maybe there's some nerves going into it. I know whenever I go into my first game of any league, I can get the jitters. Doesn't really help when you're on stream either, in front of however many people we have right now, 61. So, you know, nerves get to people. Maybe some of these guys are built different, though. Just not going to be affected by it at all and just end up going 10-0 instead of 0-10.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, they're probably not affected by it. I mean, that's why they're the players and we're the casters. We sit back and watch them make the mistakes, and we'll point it out to them.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I love about casting. Like, as we wait for the game to get started, is we can just kind of sit back, watch these players either pop off or just ultimately fail, and we just have a good laugh about it.
Yep, that is a fun part. Or when something impressive happens, we're there to make sure it seems even more impressive with the calls. So always a fun time either way if they do something really, really bad or really, really good. So excited to get into game number 1 here. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to a quick break while we continue loading into here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed out, reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. die when the world is calling you? Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll run into smoke when the fire is fierce. Yourself up, 'cause
Scar on the beat.
legends never die. Burning down in its own sleep. The sleep price it costs. Scars are left in all their lives. When everything's
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to game number 1. And there's a pause. All right, cool. Game number 1 of the
Great start
series
to the tournament, boys. Let's go.
Game number 1 of the series between Dorado Gaming Zeta and Team Disco. Of course, we are greeted with a pause right as we get into this one. Very anticlimactic. I am a little sad right now, but that's okay. Hopefully that pause will be sorted out very shortly, and we will go ahead and get onto the Rift. But, you know, this is a good opportunity, though. Take a look at some of these masteries and, like, point that out real quick, if you want to take it from there.
Yeah, just kind of looking around. We just kind of have like your basic stuff. Like I see Phase Rush over there on the Hacker Realm, kind of standard thing. It is interesting. I do see a Phase Rush on the Orianna. I'm not a big mid lane player. I believe you said you are Shogun, so you might be able to maybe go a bit more in depth on a Phase Rush Orianna because that's it's kind of new to me.
Phase. I'm not by any means a mid laner, but I do know some of the things. Phase Rush Orianna has been a thing for a good bit now, or for at least a year, maybe like the past 6 months at least. I can't remember when I first heard about this, but it does help her in lane, especially against an assassin. I know people, I believe, like to go electrocute just to get a little bit more damage, but when you're in a scarier lane against assassins, you want to be able to run away from your problems a little bit easier, and Phase Rush does help her with that. It helps her also trade a little more safe. Instead of getting a little more bang for your buck, it's always better to try to stay more alive, which I believe is the mindset of that one. As we also have that Jin taking the Fleet Footwork instead of the Dark Harvest for similar ideas, wanting to stay more safe, and very safe summoner spells coming in from the Caitlyn with the Flash Cleanse. We'll see a lot more people take that cleanse, which I really don't think was necessary in at least the laning phase or in general. I think all the CC that can come through from Jin Karma is very dodgeable. Pretty easy to get away from, and I think heal would have been a little bit more beneficial. However, that's not really what you're taking it for. You're taking it for Mumu, who has 3 stuns in his kit.
Yeah.
So I can definitely respect that, but I don't know. Maybe it'll probably work out. I don't see a world where it's like heal will make the absolute difference. In fact, the fact that there's an ignite on the other side would have made heal a little bit less effective if you use it at the wrong time. So there's that.
Yeah, just kind of taking a look over on the side of dogs. I did want to do a quick little point out that 2 of them do not have flash. It's kind of standard to not see Hecarim with flash. Seeing the Gwen without flash, it's gonna be kind of interesting playing against this Darius. But I'm sure that Fireflance has a much bigger brain than I do on this matchup.
And of course, no teleports for the side of Team Disco, which is a little scary. It's definitely the Chad move for Darius to take Ghost. Helps him a lot in team fights, though not being able to get to those team fights effectively, or not being able to play the other side of the map without getting punished for it, is going to be troublesome to deal with for Team Disco. So there's a solid chance they just get out macroed, but we'll see. what happens. Definitely getting a little bit ahead of myself there.
I mean, if I do remember correctly, TP did recently go through its rework. I believe
That's
that is
true.
live. Yeah, so I do know that TP is not as good early game as it used to be, but I do know it's what the 13-minute mark is whenever you get the empowered version.
It's 13, 14. I can't remember exactly what the minute mark is, but it's around that time, yeah. But even still, for that late game macro, TP is still going to be pretty effective. But with the nerf, of course, you're going to have a lot of players who didn't want to take teleport anyway, like Darius. They're going to go, well, since TP was nerfed, I should probably take Ghost here instead, since it's just going to help me get an early lead. And we'll see if it pays off. If you can use that Ghost to snowball a lead, it's very worth the take. Of course, that's remained to be seen if that'll be the case. And of course, that's more of a gamble that you're taking anyway. So definitely excited to see how that one pays off, as we do see Darius hunting Hecarim. Look at the bottom right of your screen. Take a look at that minimap. He is possibly even getting collapsed on here, as Gwen is looking for the damage, as Darius is going to do a good bit back as Hecarim is coming forward. The Amumu is there first, though. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, there's also a fight. Fizz looking for the kill onto Gwen. Gwen is ignited, but she should be able to get out of there, or is she just bleeding? The Hecarim's going to go ahead and collect first blood. Darius, though, is going to answer in kind onto the Orianna. Looking for more, though. Going to spin, try to get a little bit more, as Hecarim goes in, gets the kill onto the Amumu for a double kill, as he is sprinting away. But the bleed is just lasting way too long, and Darius is going to find himself another kill as well there. 2-2. 2 kills for the jungler and 2 kills for the top laner.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that I'm just going to point this out. Disco is kind of lucky that they came out with a nice 2-2 even trade there. Because honestly, Dogs kind of had the upper hand because Panfish Marty, he was still overdoing his Krugs whenever that fight broke out. And unfortunately, like there wasn't enough river control. The Darius kind of rotated a bit too early, and even the Fizz like was still trying to clear minions. The big thing I learned is you don't want to fight in the river unless you have control over both lanes, based on which river you're in. Otherwise, you're just going to instant lose every fight. So the fact that it was a 2-2 trade, Disco did a really good job evening it out.
Ooh, a nice route down to the Caitlyn. Sorry to cut you off real quick, as she might be out of here. The flash forward, I believe, as Karma's getting very low, trying to do the damage back, as now the exhaust is going to come out. One more auto will do it. There it is. The fourth shot comes through, as now Zillion's going to try to 2v or 1v2 this, as he is trying to go after him with that bomb. Do the damage. It's just not enough. Flashes into the bush, trying to deny that vision, but Hecarim is here. One more auto from the Jhin would do it. There it is. As now Hecarim looking for the kill onto the Karma. Karma should die here. The W is not going to connect, as meanwhile in the mid lane, Fizz is going for some damage, but that shouldn't be anything, as now Hecarim has gotten himself a third kill, but the rest of the map is falling into place for Team Disco.
Yeah, I definitely want to say that okay, as much as I really love playing Zillion, he is very bad at doing a 1v2 scenario there. He did a really good job getting them nice and low, so that way...
Fizz going in for the dive and manages to find himself a solo kill, and the Triumph is going to save his life. Too much action to let you talk, but we'll just wrap that up and let you get back into that point.
Yeah, so Zillion's really like not good at 1v2s, but he did a good job like getting the nice little zoning to push the it was the Karma into the Hecarim, which was just really good there. And then of course the Fizz just doing a really good job understanding how much health he had, how much damage the tower does. Just really big brain plays, and now we just see Darius walking forward, zoning Gwen out. And this is kind of what I was talking about, how Gwen can win the lane, but if the Darius is just super aggro, you're just not doing much.
Yeah, he's super aggro. He's 2-0. He hasn't actually spent that money, though, so he's not as scary as he could be. And the fact that he's already that terrifying to the Gwen is not great for her looking forward, as he's going to return. Okay, he returns with Merc Treads, a little BM there, but when you have that lead, you want to make sure that you have those resistances to make sure your opponent cannot fight you at all. And of course, a pickaxe on top of that, so he's going to be terrifying for this Gwen to deal with. As we'll see how that one shapes up for her in the top lane.
Yeah, I definitely want to point out that even though Team Disco is up 5-3, they do only have a 200 gold lead, which it isn't that much, but we do know that that 200 gold lead could easily spiral out of control if Team Dogs doesn't get their stuff together.
Yeah, absolutely. As speaking of spiraling out of control, here comes Darius. The Gwen does dodge away from that Q, as she does have her ult going for the fight, as now no Q means he can't get the health back, as he's going to be shut down. Gwen finds herself an easy kill with the assistance of her jungler, as that'll be an extra 150 gold in the pockets, but they're also going to go ahead and answer in kind onto this dragon. Team Disco looking for the first objective of the game. Should be able to collect this one, no problem. as the top tower will remain fairly untouched. Probably going to lose a plate, but that is it.
Yeah, definitely want to say that both teams are just kind of executing what they want to do perfectly around here. Because you have Team Disco, who was just able to go down and get that dragon because they realized Hecarim was up top. But Hecarim also realized that Gwen really needed to get back into this game. So by confirming that kill onto the Darius, you already see Gwen buying, look at that, 4 items as she's already coming back to late now.
Yeah, absolutely. As that is going to be fun to deal with. Of course, they're all just pieces of a puzzle, but once that puzzle is complete, it will be pretty disgusting, as it's the potato sacks, the cloth armor, probably going to be built into some plated steel caps, especially when you're playing into a Jhin and your lane opponent is Darius. Of course, you do have that CC to deal with in the Amumu, but doesn't seem to be too afraid of that, especially with the fact that you can, if you play it right, you can get rid of a lot of that CC or be unaffected by it, rather, with that fun little zone that you can create. Believe that's on her W. Someone can correct me if I am mistaken, though. So we'll see. What's
I do believe it is on her W.
awesome. As we'll see, the Fizz going in for a trade is going to be doing a lot more damage to the Orianna, but is going to take some in kind, as the Orianna is allowed to run away relatively healthy because of that phase rush. So we'll see.
Yeah,
You're good?
Muja's up here cleaning up a red ward. Really not a whole lot of action going on. We do see Zillion floating near the dragon pit, just trying to get vision of that river. Because if you control vision in the river, it's basically your river, and you get to decide when fights are taken, which is just kind of crucial in the game of League of Legends.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to make sure that Pixel Brush is warded properly as well, to make sure that those mid lane ganks are a little bit harder to pull off. As Darius is going in, trying to find some damage. Mumu is in town as well. Meanwhile, we have a fight on the bot side as well. W is going to connect from the Karma, leads into the root from the Jhin as well. One more auto. There it is, as a bot lane duo kill for them. As of course, Jhin is 3-0-0, as that is looking to be their win con. He's popping off. Meanwhile, on the top side, Darius getting ganked again by this poor Hecarim, as Hecarim gonna go off as the Darius. I said poor Hecarim, meant poor Darius, as he will go down. Hecarim's fine. He's thriving 4-1-1, got a 450 gold bounty on his head. Yeah, he is not too sad at all, as we're going to see Caitlyn surviving under this tower all by her lonesome.
I'd also definitely want to point out that we were only 9 minutes and 45 seconds in, and Hecarim already has his Chemtech legendary item up online. So basically at this point, Hecarim is just going to run at you even faster now. The item did get a slight rework, because this is the first day of the new patch, so we're going to see, did Riot do a good job rebalancing this item? Or are we going to have another 200 years on our hands?
Probably the latter. As we're going to see, Fizz already uses E. The Shockwave hits as well, as Hecarim comes in for the easy gank, getting his mid laner and an easy kill there. They're going to start running towards the bot side, trying to spread the love as much as he can. The Empowered Cube not going to connect from the Karma. The stun also not going to connect. Going to pick it up, though. Pick up that bomb. Takes a little bit more damage as now Hecarim is on the bot side of the map. Might be able to look for something, however, they should know that that is the case, and Team Disco's bot lane should be able to play a little safer around this. As Darius goes ahead, goes in for the trade, is doing a good bit of damage. That is half of Gwen's HP gone in a single combo there.
Yeah, definitely want to say that if we look right now, we kind of have the dogs winning through the side of Hecarim, which, as we can tell, they're all just stacked in this nice little bush here. There are the 3 members of Disco coming down, so we are going to see a fight happen, and here they go.
There he goes, as the Hecarim's going in with the E. Does get the flash out of the Jhin, but now Amumu is here, gets a 3-man ultimate as the curtain call is falling. That's going to be the Zillion ult on to the Hecarim. Caitlyn is very low. The Onslaught of Shadows is going to come through. Not going to be able to find the kill quite yet. Too many shields. Too much to deal with. The W going to come through from the Jhin. Not going to be enough, though, as everybody's just going to go back to their corners, except that Jhin wants more. The Fizz is here to try to get something done as well. Going to E under the tower. Not going to be able to find anything more than just a little bit of damage. As now Darius in the top lane knows that he's alone, knows that he is just fine to go for this play. The ultimate is going to come out of the Gwen. The ultimate comes down. There's no healing to be had because there's nothing around for the Gwen to hit, so she's going to go down. Darius finds himself a solo kill in the top lane. Now Fizz wants some more, gets the flash out as Orianna is TPing. Fizz has to run for the hills as he will be out. Oh no, Hecarim is here. Is perfectly timing that Q, flashing over the wall, and he is out of there.
So, I just want to point out
Uh,
there. Okay, so as we know, there are 10 people in this game. 8 of these 10 people have flashes. From that one fight alone, we have seen 6 flashes.
Apparently there was a flash over the Dragon Wall to chase the Fizz as well. That is what I heard from the voice in my head. I didn't see it. But that was an interesting decision. I like the tenacity that he shows, the diligence, trying to go for the kill. Maybe
The
could have backed
Alpha
off at that
Chad
point
move.
though.
I definitely want to say the Alpha Chad Zillion.
Oh, absolutely.
But
That's all,
definitely,
that's all.
I definitely want to point out that the Amumu stun is kind of what brought the balance of that fight back into their favor. We do see Dragon looks like he's gonna go to the side of Disco. Zillion doing his best to just kind of float around. Realizes they're doing Dragon. Is like, nope, this is not my time.
Yeah, that's gonna go down very easily. Hecarim was about to look for something. I believe his team probably called him off, or he just knew. Not the time to go in as, oh, hey, look, a path perfectly open for this blue buff, as they might go for this. Could be a little greedy as that back does finish, though. Looking for the blue buff, it is very low. No smite available for either side, I suppose, as they're able to take that one away. Bully this Amumu around just a tiny little bit, as now that Gwen is taking a good chunk of damage. Darius is going to take a tower shot as well, as some of that prior damage going to be brought down to about half HP. Is out of there for now, though.
Yeah, taking a quick look at the minimap, I did notice that Disco does have a nice little control ward in the blue jungle by the blue buff, so they're going to have a nice idea for Darius as to where the heck room is. And as we see, Darius is just kind of walking forward.
Into a very important fight as Darius is being brought very low. Will he go down, though? Tries to find the outplay. Will not be able to do so. Gwen easily getting herself another kill there as the Fizz is running for his life. Going to be taken down to about half HP already. Will he be able to get out? He's under the tower, but the onslaught shower is going to be brought under the tower as well, as Orianna collects that kill very easily for herself. So now we're going to see what they're able to accomplish with that pick. Rift Herald on the map, very achievable goal. Does not seem to be going for it yet, though.
Yeah, definitely
Will pass it up.
Yeah, Hecarim being 4-1-3 compared to his opposing jungler Amumu at 0-1-1.
Oh,
This
nice
is kind of what we were talking about.
Jhin.
Yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about, how the better jungler wins in this scenario, and right now Hecarim is he's kind of winning.
Yeah, he is very much winning, very much pressing that R first. As you said earlier, that was kind of the win condition for these junglers, as he's going to go back to farming bot lane. Nothing really came out of that damage, instead just forces them to back. Trying to freeze this. I don't believe that freeze the cannon might cause it to freeze for them, but I believe that should just end up slow pushing very shortly, if not after this wave, the next one. Unless they, of course, farm pixel perfect. We don't see that happening, as Zillion and Caitlyn are on the way, hopefully awaiting a nice slow push for themselves.
I definitely want to take a quick second to point out before another fight breaks out. We're now 15.5 minutes into the game, and I want to point out that Amumu does not have a legendary item yet, whereas if we look over at Team Dogs, they have 4 of their 5 members online with a legendary.
And of course, all of their members, besides their support's not going to be getting that same kind of money. Fizz also not having his is a little sad for him to be dealing with. Of course, it's a lot harder for him to CS. He is down about 60. Very close to being 70, though, as now Zillion is looking for the damage, looking for that double bomb. Not going to be able to find it, though, so it just gets that little bit of damage done. As Hecarim looking for a gank on the top side. Darius doing his best to survive the onslaught of shadows, though. Going to make that pretty difficult. Going to get some healing down from the Q. Now Amumu is in town. Going to miss the Q, though. Has the flash under his tower and will be able to get away from that. As now Hecarim wants some more. Is using that E. Get some damage down into the tower. As Amumu is trying to force them away. Not going to ult quite yet. There it is. As he locks the Hecarim under tower. Gets him so low, but will be able to take him down. There it is. That's a shutdown for the Amumu. Tanky jungler for Team Disco. They punish that Hecarim for some serious greed.
Yeah, Mumu should definitely have enough gold in his pocket to go and buy himself that mythic item he's been waiting for this whole game. And honestly, with that kill onto Hecarim, I do believe that this might be a good chance to swing the game back into Team Disco's favor.
Could be a chance, as you just said. He will be able to finish up that mythic on base whenever he decides to do so. but the mid lane is going to have to be evened out as well. This Fizz is baiting just a little bit. Amumu is in town, not going to be able to find anything though. As now Orianna, not going to try to step up a little bit more, even though probably could have gotten a little bit more harassed. Not going to look for that dive, or is she going to take 2 tower shots as a response, but one of those will be mitigated pretty heavily with that nifty little shield that she's got.
Gwen was actually able to take out the topside tower, so that is first tower going over to the dogs. And honestly, it's kind of looking like a dogs game here. They are up almost 4k gold. But I personally, I know I said I think dogs is going to win 2-0, but I'm looking at these teams now, I think Disco might actually have a chance to bring this back.
Yeah, absolutely. As now Hecarim going in with the onslaught of the shadows. As now the Amumu in a bad position. Will he be forced out? Looks like they have control of the Dragon Pit for Dorado Gaming. Will they be able to take it uncontested, though? Does not look like it, as that curtain call will do a little bit of damage, not too much, as the Orianna has been rooted. They're trying to find more, but a great double bomb will stop the advances of this Darius, as now they're looking for a little bit more. Hecarim in the pit. The shockwave will hit too. Will it be enough, though? Fizz has dropped, as now Hecarim will be able to seal that Dragon Jin, running for his life as his team is crumbling around him. Will be able to run away for just a tad bit longer, but will not be able to save the rest of his teammates. It is just the team in Disco bot lane who ends up surviving. Will they even continue surviving is the question. Will be slowed down a little bit. The W will lock the Gwen under tower for a little bit more, as that's just too much damage coming through. As now the Hecarim is looking for the last kill. The ace, as he finds it, as there it is, Dorado Gaming just absolutely popping off on all sides of this fight.
Yeah, definitely wanted to say just a really clean execution there, and as we see, they are now going to go ahead and grab the Rift. This is going to be just absolutely detrimental to the side of Team Disco. They had a pretty decent early game, and now that we're looking at this, it's not going to be doing too well for them with this Rift going over to the side of Dorado, and probably they're just going to throw it down mid lane and probably, honestly, look for an end here.
It should be pretty simple for them to do. Of course, the Baron was not up. They weren't able to take that one. Would have made this game so much quicker, but being able to use Shelly is still a pretty solid one, or a pretty solid option. Be able to march down any lane of their choosing, drop that. Probably going to look to either drop it top or mid and then go straight to the Baron afterwards. Maybe send one, or like maybe Orianna towards bot lane, TP in if she needs to for the Baron. So we'll see how these side lanes end up shaping up. As we do see Fizz sticking to mid lane, which is weird for lane assignments. Usually that's where you want your bot lane at this stage of the game. And it seems like they're heading over there now.
It definitely seems like Disco's just trying to figure out if they want to group up, if they still want to like keep trying to CS, because as we can see, Fizz is down, well, almost 100 CS now.
Yeah, as that Baron will be started up now. The Rift Herald has been dropped top lane as a distraction more than anything. They saw the bot lane bot lane, as they will have to now haul their butts over to this Baron pit to see if they can stop it, but it does not look like they'll be able to do so at all before this goes down. Very easily picked up for them. They want to look for the fight afterwards, but that seems like a mistake. Hecarim running in, gonna absolutely erase that Karma. Onslaught of Shadows also going to do a good bit there. The Shockwave is going to do so much to this poor Jin. He is out of here. Amumu trying to survive, but just can't, as everybody on Team Disco is just getting run over by this train of a Hecarim. He wants more, and it's going to be the Wolves that he is going to end up getting. Nothing too much after that, except for, of course, these towers. Will then blast his way over. Darius looking for the damage with the Fizz, not able to do nearly enough, even with this Hecarim tanking the tower. The rest of his team is just too much damage for Team Disco to deal with, as they're going to start threatening this inhibitor turret.
Yeah, Team Disco now down 8-17 and down 10k gold, but we see the Hecarim just jump over and kill the Karma instantly. Like, this is just the power of Hecarim in general. We are seeing Gwen taking this fight. Is going to be popping the Zanyas.
Oh my goodness. Just such an outplay from her. Of course, a lot of outplays are going to come right after that gold statue right there. Every time you see that, better expect something great, and there it was. I mean, Gwen, everyone realistically now firing on all cylinders for Dorado Gaming Zeta. Not a lot that Team Disco can do at this point in the game. They are down over 10k gold, so if they are going to get back into the game, it does come off of being able to CS properly, CS well from here on out. You can't have your bot lane. Realistically, you couldn't have anyone bot lane because, of course, that was just going to lead to the Baron. So not having that teleport, we're starting to see that the lack of that summoner spell come back to haunt them. As speaking of haunting them, have a ghost horse in the areas. Karma dares to walk up. We'll be able to dodge that vision.
They're doing a really good job just making sure that Dorado doesn't know where she is. But as we do see, they are now getting a lot of vision into that side jungle. Gwen with 2 levels up on Darius, which is interesting to see since she was a little bit behind at the start of the game. And we just see Hecarim clearing these minions, getting the wave down, and now they're just going to be taking the second tier tower for bot side.
Yes, but Gwen going for some damage, but Darius is willing to fight this. I do not believe he wins. Is going for the damage a little bit more, but he just gets erased by this Gwen. This Gwen is, in fact, unstoppable in the top lane. Will be able to easily take away this tower. She does back, does respect it, does not want to give her life away to this Fizz or a Mumu. The risk of giving a 600 gold shutdown to the Fizz is too scary for her to stay for the dragon. They know they could just play their cards correctly, play it smart, and are just taking this dragon and everything in the Team Disco jungle away.
Yeah, definitely want to say, if I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of this Darius player, you started the game off so well, you were 3-1, and now here you are at 24 minutes and you're 3-7. You've died 6 times in a row. That's going to be a big mental boom. And I'll be honest, I've had those games before, and those are mentally tilting. And I can tell his team is doing the best to try and bring his mentality back into this match.
Yeah, it's the thing of you were doing so well into the Gwen, you were solo killing her every now and then all of a sudden things just flip on their heads because of how strong Gwen is as a champion. As Amumu's going in, he's going to find a 3-man ultimate, but Hecarim's onto the backline and he is wreaking havoc. Fizz onto the backline himself is just taking too much damage and will be taken out. Caitlyn's going to get herself a double kill as that play has gone unanswered. They're trying to find the kill onto the Hecarim, going to be able to do some damage, but it's just not enough. He's just too tanky. Not a lot of DPS coming through as the Caitlyn ultimate's going to go down onto that Karma. So much damage from them as the curtain call is going to drop as they're going to try to find anything and everything onto the Hecarim, but he's just walking out. He is out of there. The speed is just too much for Team Disco to deal with, as that is 5 members alive. Yet another clean fight for them. Not quite an ace, but almost there, as there are only 2 members remaining. Heck, Amumu is back onto the map, though. We'll see what they're able to do with that, but it just looks like that the dogs are going to go ahead and recall.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job getting a nice little bit of vision into this enemy red side jungle, because Baron is going to be back up in just about 70 seconds. Oh, that TP just barely gets out just in time before a movement can spot. But they're doing a good job of placing all this vision to help set up for Baron, because we have Dragon in 3 minutes, Baron in 1 minute. And basically, if Dorado gets this Baron, you might as well just go ahead and FF go next.
Yeah, getting that Baron would be pretty detrimental to Team Disco's chances of winning this game. I believe that would be easily the final nail in this coffin. Feels like there's been a lot of nails in this coffin so far, though. Of course, being on your way to 20k gold up. Of course, it's more close to about halfway to that, so like 15k gold up at the moment. But still, even that much is seemingly impossible to come back from, especially when you see this. Look at how fast this Hecarim is, going in pretty much 1v3. It almost is able to take down that Fizz, but Fizz just barely manages to escape with his life. That level up does come through for the Hecarim. Zilean going to give him some experience, some bonus XP. Going to make him hit even harder now. Will he be able to get in there again? Probably. We'll see how that ends up going for him, though, as they are just going to go ahead and take every objective on the map, or every single objective in the base. Mumu trying to go in for a little bit more, as we are going to see everything kind of come back to a standstill. Just going to collect all the inhibitors that they can, then walk those minions on into the Nexus towers, as that's an ult down onto the Zilean. Zilean does ult himself at full HP, so that's a pretty important ultimate gone. for the side of the Dogs is now Team Disco want to try to do something with it, but they're just not allowed to. Curtain Call is going to open up, trying to get those slows down. The Orianna is putting her dance shoes on, showing Team Disco what's up, as she will be able to just run on out of there. She's now running back in as the top inhibitor will be taken out by the Gwen, able to solo take that one, as now the Hecarim has been delivered by the Darius into the base. Curse of the Sad Mummy is going to come out, but just taking too much damage now, as Gwen is onto the back line. Not quite there, actually, as Jin will be able to get out of here with the Darius, as Hecarim's going in. Look how fast he is, just running circles around this team, as the Jin and the Darius will be able to find that kill for themselves onto the Zillion, but I don't think it's going to be enough to dissuade poor T. Oh, maybe it will be, as that's going to be Darius finding himself a kill, but Caitlyn is on top of things, trying to find the damage. The Gale Force forward, will it be enough? The ultimate's going to come out. A nice stopwatch, though. The Peacemaker is going to be a little late, but that will still be the game, as there are too many minions here, as Dorado Gaming Zeta will take game number 1.
Yeah, big kind of a sweep onto the side for those teams. I definitely want to point out that the Darius did redeem himself a little bit at the end, getting a double kill after dying 6 times in a row. For those of you who are watching the stream, I actually do have the chat open next to me, so we do get to see some of the comments you all are making. I think the funniest comment I saw was from Dilly Diff, saying that he saw Darius 1v1 an award and he was afraid he was going to lose.
That is that's a little BM, just a tad, but I get the sentiment for sure, but that last fight was pretty hectic, and I feel like you could see the power of Dorado Gaming Zeta at that point in the game. The fact that they were allowed to stay that long and, you know, play that scrappy and still come out losing only, like, I think it was like 2-3 of their members at the end of everything. The fact that Caitlyn was allowed to just maneuver through that fight, make it to the end. She basically gets to do whatever she wants unanswered. And I mean, that's what happens when you have that 15k gold lead by the end of the game.
Yeah, and as we're kind of taking a look at the damage numbers here, we do see Hecarim just absolutely dominating in the damage department. For the wise from the wise words of Phil Swift, now that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's is in fact a lot of damage. 18k. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's nothing like a very fed Jinx would be, but and the fact that it's a Hecarim doing it when he was living for so long and he was allowed to top the damage charts. I mean, it's just not fair. I think a big part of it also as well was that the targets that he was hitting didn't have a lot of HP to begin with. So I mean, like, there's only so much damage you can do to those champions, but even still very impressive for the jungler to be topping those damage charts. But of course, Gwen, Orianna, Caitlyn not too far behind him, doing so much damage. And of course, this game isn't easily won if they're doing 0 damage throughout the entire thing. Hecarim can only do so much, and he just made it a free ride for the rest of his team at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good free ride for the Hecarim, but I'm pretty sure we will be seeing him banned in the next set of drafts, but I'm sure we will be coming right back to that very shortly, as we are going to be taking a short break. We will be back for Game 2 in just a moment.
All right. Well, Dorado came to play in game number 1, although Disco looked like they had their plan pants on for a little bit there in the early game with the Darius. Things didn't quite go as planned moving into that mid game. However, I think they showed that a Noxian man with an axe is no match for a pony when it comes to raw feats of strength. Going into game number 2 here, guys, what kind of adjustments do we need to see from Disco to have a little bit more of a chance in holding out? I think I know the big one, which is get rid of that horse.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
pretty obvious one. Or pick it away. I don't know if they have blue side. Looking at it, I need to take a closer look here. They do in fact have blue side, so they could pick it for themselves if they want to prioritize that. So getting rid of the horse in some fashion, definitely a smart idea. Also possibly, I want them to draft a more team fight oriented comp, because I felt like it looked really good there for a second, right? They had some early leads. They just weren't able to transition it into anything more than just 2 dragons for the side of Team Disco. And I think if they had some more synergy within their composition, would have been a little bit easier for them to contest some of these fights. But I mean, that Hecarim was just unstoppable. No one could really do anything about him. And even if they did still have that Hecarim in this next game, if they had something to deal with him, maybe peel him off the ADC, off the back line, could have worked out just a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Now, Kongman, I have to ask you, what sort of picks do you think we should see? Obviously, in game one, we saw this sort of long range 80 carry handshake. We see a lot recently, Caitlyn versus Jhin. What can we see? Because there was a little bit of an early advantage in the bot lane for Team Disco, but it didn't really translate. As things went on, that Zillion was just kind of allowed to exist and buff up the Hecarim and buff up those other members going into the mid game. What can we see to really bring home the bot lane 2v2 for Team Disco going into game two?
I mean, to really help bring home that bot lane to the 2v2, I do believe that their picks were justified. They were really solid picks looking at what the opposing team had decided on. I believe the big thing is that I noticed they were a little scared to take some of the fights. Like, you would notice they would start to commit to a fight and then they would just back out in the middle of it. And then by the time they're backing out, the jungler has just arrived and he's like, well, where's my team at? So I definitely want to say they kind of need to focus a little bit more on team coordination, their communications, because I really hate whenever I'm the jungler and I'm showing up to come gank your lane, and then you just back out because you're like, "Oh, you got it, man." It's,
And
it's just one of those. You're kind of like, "Where's my team?"
definitely a central part of winning those games comes down to just the basic coordination, getting everybody on the same page, working as a well-oiled machine. We'll have to see if Team Disco can do that a little bit better going into game two, but I do believe we are just about ready for draft for that game number two, so we can see if some of these adjustments are going to be made, and hopefully they will pay dividends for Team Disco. But I leave it in your capable hands, Mr. Shogun and Mr. Kong. Take it away and do me proud.
Alrighty, thank you so much. As we are in fact getting into the draft here, Disco on blue side this time, and Dorado Gaming Zeta on the red side. So far, we have the same jungle bands, Gragas and Trundle, being banned away by those same respective teams. The Jinx ban also coming out from Disco, so probably not looking to first pick that one themselves. Looking to, I imagine, first pick Hecarim if it's not banned here.
Yep.
So forcing Dorado maybe to get rid of that one. We will have to see if that is in fact what they are planning though.
Yeah, and then we do see the Lulu Bands. So as of right now, we are seeing the same 4 characters being banned from last round. We're gonna see if Disco decides to ban Kaisa, then we're just gonna see the same bans from the side of Disco. Might see the Hecarim ban. Really depends if they want to play it or not. It is the Kaisa ban, so once again, Disco banning the same 3 characters. So we'll see if Dogs is going to follow up with a Lilia ban to just, keep the same ban pool going and, just make our jobs a little bit easier.
Yeah. However, if I am Dorado Game, that's exactly what I do. They in fact do it. They force their own hand and ban away the Hecarim. So Disco was definitely planning on playing it, or Dorado just didn't want to take that risk themselves and didn't want to deal with that champion. I don't blame them. Hecarim, when he's strong, he is very strong, as we just saw in that last game. But in general, when that champion is in the meta, he feels like a menace to play against. So we'll see what adjustments they make. They make 0 adjustments. Disco is going to go ahead and be one of Mumu, prioritizing that champion.
It's definitely interesting seeing your jungler picked first, because normally we see the ADC picked first. And we do see Dog floating Udyr.
That's not real.
I don't believe the rework is out yet. I do know it has been discussed. Unless there's something I don't know about with Udyr. I do know they did rework him whenever he was supersonic racing speed around Summoner's Rift. We might be seeing the Udyr. We do see an Udyr.
Okay. Always like seeing Udyr. He has a very simple playstyle. Exactly. That voice in my head just echoed the words that I was going to say. Run, stun, job done.
Yeah.
That is the Udyr mantra. We'll pretty much see that all game. It's going to be very similar to what Hecarim was doing, actually, just in a bit of a different style. They are going to go ahead and switch it up, though, picking the Ezreal instead of that Caitlyn. So Caitlyn is an option that is up. That's actually one of the solid ones into Ezreal, in my opinion. Yes, Ezreal can match that range with his own Q, which is kind of how you answer that, but Caitlyn's wave clear is pretty strong and way better than Ezreal, so you just shove him under tower, stack waves beforehand, and that's exactly what they're thinking of doing. They're going to go ahead and hover that Caitlyn. So picking that into Ezreal or not, they're just going to pick scaling into scaling. Okay, that's also a decent option. Putting your faith in the late game, I like that too. As we'll see what they go ahead and pick up for their last pick of the first rotation.
Yeah, I definitely want to say it's very interesting having your jungler and your ADC as a late game scaler. I mean, I know that if they do hit this late game, they're just going to become the unstoppable juggernaut that is the Vayne Mumu. But now Dogs realizes this, and with Thresh, who's also kind of more of a late scaling champion, we're just going to see Dogs picking early game champions. So they're doing a speedrun simulator of how fast can they win the Rift.
That does seem to be the case. Udyr, a big one for that. Ezreal does have that scaling for it, or is more of a scaler, though the new build does kind of bring his power a little bit earlier if you do end up going that Essence Reaver Manamune build instead. That is going to be the Ezreal Rakan. So in lane, Ezreal Rakan is whatever. The reason you pick Rakan with this is you say, all right, bye Ezreal, I'm gonna leave you forever and go anywhere else. You run around with Udyr, you probably gank mid, you can even gank top. Ganking top is pretty fun to do as support. They never expect it. It's pretty funny. So I actually did that the other day in one of the exhibition games, and I got a pretty solid reaction out of the top laner. We are going to see the Irelia banned away here. But yeah, Rakan, very good for roaming, and Ezreal, probably the best ADC to choose to match with a roaming support for the case of he just survives by himself.
Yeah.
Nothing more to say about that one.
I know there are several times as the jungler, whenever I show up to bot lane, there's an Ezreal, and I'm like, all right, boys, I got this kill. It's all mine. And then Ezreal blinks away, and I go, all right, I'll see you next time.
Now, I will say, if you commit 4 members to diving bot lane, it's still doable. You force someone to the tower, have a huge wave that makes him, want to stay, and forces him to either lose all that experience or stay and probably die because he only has his arcane shift and then his flash, and then after that he's still very killable because he's not going to pump out a lot of damage after that, especially if you have like a Mumu, Vayne, Thresh all hunting him down. You can arcane shift the first Amumu Q, you can flash the second one, but if Amumu has flash or Thresh hits you with a hook, it's pretty donezo from that point. But we do have the Dogs running it back with that Orianna pick, which is always just going to be solid in any form of competitive scene.
Sorry, I took a look down in chat. Someone asked me if I am Harry Kane's brother. No, I'm not.
That's
thank you though.
Solid one.
It's not the worst I've heard. I will take more roasts in the chat later, but we will see Veigar picked into the Orianna. I actually kind of like this matchup. I play Veigar the few times I need to fill mid. I just really love this super late scale. Yeah, like, look at this. This is just an all late scale comp. Like, the more you look at it, once you hit that 30, yeah, even Viego.
Ooh, okay.
Once you hit that 30-minute mark, you're just kind of you're the unstoppable killing machine. So Dorado's looking at this going, we have 30 minutes before we lose.
Yeah, that does seem to be the thought process. Just considering all those champions. Well, Tryndamere makes it a little bit harder to play against. Something to Tryndamere's credit, though, or to deal with Tryndamere anyway, is there's a lot of CC to lock him down. Literally everybody on Disco has some way to deal with Tryndamere. I think one of the best ones is the baby cage from Veigar. You combine that with the box from Thresh. That's what his ult's called. It's just called the box. It's super dumb. It needs to be renamed. But you drop that down as well.
Yeah, that's one of the few abilities I remember.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple one. Tryndamere gonna have a hard time getting to Vayne with all of the CC to deal with. I feel a sneeze coming on, so never mind. I scared it away by talking about it. Perfect.
That's what I love to see. So I'm pretty sure Viego's going to be going topside here, into this Tryndamere. Just kind of looking at this matchup, I know a lot of people would say Viego would win this one. I'm personally going to side with Tryndamere winning this matchup. My reasoning is kind of stupid, and I know it's going to make one of my friends back at home very unhappy that I say this. They both carry their swords in their right arm, and we all know Tryndamere's famous voice line, "My right arm is a lot stronger than my left arm."
That is true,
is-
because he's lugging around that sword all dang day.
Yep.
So-
It's just the Tryndamere way. Definitely
Absolutely.
gonna clip that, send that to my friend, make him mad later. But further ado, definitely gonna say Tryndamere will probably win this matchup, because also Tryndamere ult is just it needs to change, if we're being honest.
It is it's an annoying one. I don't think it needs to change because it's there's ways to play around it. Of course, when I'm in a game against Tryndamere and I see that guy and I'm ever playing like ADC or something, and that guy's on top of me, or I'm playing like Lulu and trying to keep my ADC alive and he's just like killing him through everything, I'm like, there's zero counterplay here. But there is counterplay. There is, of course, a polymorph from Lulu. You CC him to hell and back again with any form of CC that you have, and that's essentially what you gotta do, which feels real bad in any situation, but I mean, sometimes that's the simplest solution, though it's a lot easier said than done in a lot of those scenarios, because you could just say, oh, just CC Tryndamere, and all of a sudden you're one shot with the Gale Force and dead, and you're like, all right, well, I don't know, man. I don't know when I was supposed to CC him.
And I'll be honest, sometimes I like to play top. I like to run Urgot, and Urgot into Tryndamere is really fun until Tryndamere hits 6, because then you ult him, and then for whatever reason, every Tryndamere I fight has like the frame perfect time to smack that ultimate button, because all of a sudden you're trying to eat Tryndamere, and because he can't be killed, because his ult is stupid. This is coming from an Urgot player, by the way.
Yep.
Not biased. All of a sudden you have an angry Tryndamere that won't die under your tower, killing you because he takes the armor penetration build, and you just die.
I could be wrong, but he might be able to use ult in the middle of that animation. I don't think he can, because that would be awful. But it feels like he can, because again, like every time I have an Urgot on my team that ults him, it feels like Tryndamere is just ulting in the middle of Urgot ultimate when it's going off. So someone can probably confirm or deny that. I'm sure there's someone who plays a lot of Tryndamere who could say, yeah, you can ult in the middle of the animation for Urgot, easy. Or it's like, no, we're just super cool, too good, built different. We just know exactly when that Urgot's gonna press R.
I bet you there's some Tryndamere player in chat right now who's typing the long paragraph. Like, there's actually a 3-frame window from the end of Urgot's animation to the death animation that you can press it, and if you time it perfectly, because I'm sure there's some weird tech in that. Yeah, just spam the button.
And
That's what-
it'll
that's what all
work
good players
eventually.
do.
Yeah, none of this frame perfect nonsense, as we have talked a lot about this Tryndamere, about these the mid lane matchup a good bit. Haven't really talked about the bot lane matchup and how it goes. Of course, we touched on Rakan pretty much ditching Ezreal the second that he gets, but before he's able to do so, of course, there is going to be that matchup with Vayne Thresh versus Ezreal Rakan. Both Vayne and Ezreal just kind of want to farm and scale up. That being said, though, I feel like the Vayne Thresh does have the edge in this matchup, because Rakan can't do anything first. If he does, Thresh just immediately flays him. Probably doesn't hit the hook on Rakan, because Rakan just ease away, flies away, gets out of there. But it is a little harder for this Ezreal Rakan to do anything in lane. If they hit the poke, of course they can maybe look for something, but Vayne Thresh is just going to have some solid, more consistent damage coming into this matchup.
Yeah, definitely looking at Team Disco with how much CC is on their side of the team. I definitely want to say this is quoting one of my favorite coaches from Cloud9, XKiss. Big shout out to him, by the way. That Team Dorado, pay your taxes, pay your 1,200 gold for your Quicksilver sashes. Wow, that is a hard word to say. And ignore CC and just roll over this composition.
Yeah. I like that thought process, and we'll see if they're able to accomplish that or not. But before we do, we're going to go ahead and send it over to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to game number 2 of the series between Team Disco and Dorado Gaming Zeta. On the blue side for game number 2, we are going to have Team Disco, and on the red side, we have Dorado Gaming Zeta switching it up from game number 1. So we'll see if that has any effect on this one. And it does seem we have a bit of an invade coming through from Team Disco, as this Tryndamere could be caught out. The hook is going to swing wide as Tryndamere starts E and gets out of there.
Yeah, I definitely want to say it is really always entertaining to see whenever one team does a 5-point and the other one decides to invade. I mean, no matter where you go, you will be spotted out, but you do face that risk of potentially dying. And yeah, we do see Rakan kind of floating towards the red to see if he can get a little bit of scouting based on where this Moo is going to end up. Kind of a risky play here. He does actually spot the Vayne Moo, so they now do know that Moo is turning red, which is going to allow a nice little invade here potentially from Udyr if he has the chance to run all the way over there.
There's some solid damage coming out from the Viego. Almost all the way healed up already from the Tryndamere, though. Trying to find an angle, as Tryndamere is not on a ward or anything, so I don't know how he's seeing this. Just kind of watching that, making sure Tryndamere didn't do pretty much what he just did, as now Viego's going to be able to easily walk up into lane. Shouldn't be too threatened by the Tryndamere. As here we go. Ooh, a nice Q coming out from the Viego once again. Trying to get that health advantage. Shouldn't mean too much, though, in the long run.
Yeah, and there's another Q, and unfortunately, the damage isn't too much, so Tryndamere can just kind of vibe with it. Look, he just tanked a third one, and just kind of getting the CS, just kind of enjoying his day here.
Well,
that one hurt a little bit.
Alright, now it's getting a little ridiculous.
Okay,
Now we should probably back up. So he seems to have the same kind of thought process for the first ones. He was like, this is doing nothing to me. And then he gets hit by actual autos, and then the Q on top of that, and he's like, oh yeah, that's a champion that's hitting me.
Oh no.
As of course Viego gonna hit level 2 first. That situation is now Veigar not having a fun time against the Orianna. Not going to be doing too hot into that one for now, as he's just doing his best to farm up. Is getting punished for it heavily though. Meanwhile on the bot side, looks like the dogs are able to crash a wave. As this is, I imagine we're going to see a very similar way to how last game went, where Team Disco's top laner is going to have the wave push, have the advantage in topside until, of course, the jungler shows up, ganks, and swings the game into, or the lane at least, into his own top laner's favor, as that is what's brewing right now with Udyr on those Krugs.
Yeah, only on 3 minutes, Udyr already on the Krugs, Moo just now finishing up his blue buff here in just a second. I believe he's doing both his blue buff and his Gromp at the same time. So both junglers are going to be walking out. Viego is kind of walking down into the river trying to get a nice little bit of vision and help get that jungle, the river scuttle, into their favor. Udyr does a good job clearing that ward. Now we might be seeing a fight topside as there is a lot of vision going on here. Kind of interesting to see what's going to happen up here.
Now it looks like Udyr could be in some trouble. Does have that flash up, will immediately flash out. Isn't playing any games, but Amumu is on his tail, uses one of his Qs. The next one's going to come through, gets the flash out of one of the people that was running after him. Kind of lagged a little bit there. Didn't see who quite was there. Viego looked for the kill. He's so low, the Udyr will not go down. W is going to swing wide, as now Tryndamere is going to go back in for the kill. The Q comes out from the Amumu, as now Viego getting very low. One more auto will do it. There it is. First blood for the Tryndamere. They're able to turn that one around on its head. The slow is too much coming from Tryndamere. Gets himself a double kill. That is a 2-0 Tryndamere in the top lane that they will have to be dealing with for the rest of this game.
I mean, what did I tell you, chat? I told you guys that Tryndamere, his right arm is a lot stronger, so he's going to be winning this matchup, and already... not even just now 4:20 into the game. Nice. Already up 2-0, leading this team to victory at the moment. And bot side just kind of stalemated. Perfect CS on both sides, 31, 31, 6-6. Going to be very interesting to see who's going to come out on top there.
Yeah, is going to be rather interesting. I imagine the Tryndamere just kind of takes that one and runs with it. So we'll see how the rest of this map goes. Udyr probably going to try to spread the love as much as possible. Now we'll see once again, the Ezreal Rakan do have that push going, as this wave is not going to end up being freezable. Two casters is not enough to get that going, as we will see. Viego try to do something in top lane while he can still fight, as he is being run down. I don't know why he's just straight up running away. He can fight this for now. I feel like now, yeah, you win this, as the
Yeah.
W will hit, as that's going to be the heal coming through, but that's going to be a lot less damage from the Tryndamere. That's fine for Viego to take. It's now. Now it's you never fight him ever,
Yeah,
because he
now that
will win.
yeah, Tryndamere has now hit his level 6 power spike. The ultimate is online, so basically now at any point Tryndamere can go, "That's the cool tower you have. I will just ignore that and ruin your entire week."
So, definitely something funny brewing in the top side with that Rakan coming up to the top lane, as
Oh,
now
there he is.
Viego in some trouble, is only level 5, is going to be knocked up, as now Tryndamere going to easily find himself his third kill of the game. There it is. Third kill for the Tryndamere, third kill for Dorado Gaming Zeta, as there's that gank, that roam that I was talking about from the Rakan, and expect to see a lot more of that moving forward.
Yeah, I definitely want to say Fireflans. If I had to pick an MVP for this match so far, definitely would have to pick Fireflans. He's just dominating this top lane right now. Honestly, we're not even going to call it top lane. We're just going to rename it Fireflans lane at this point.
Yeah, he is pretty unmatched, it does seem like. To be fair, not 100% Viego's fault. Viego was actually doing really well for the beginning of this, as now Viego is just not allowed to play the game. So they are looking for a little bit more, do have that ignite ticking, as now they will give up on the play for the time being. Amumu isn't in position to do anything to Ezreal, so Ezreal's just going unpunished, is also allowed to farm, which should never be the case, as they will in fact get the dragon at the very least on top of this. But if you bring Vhagar down, you bring the Amumu over, that should be a dead Ezreal. But they just want to go for the safer option, getting that dragon.
Yeah, they get dragon, and I want to point out, unless my eyes are deceiving me, Tryndamere already has that top tower down to 2 plates, and he's just kind of farming that minion wave before he can even get to the tower. And now they're just kind of vibing in blue jungle because he
Oh my
knows
goodness.
Viego's there.
Yeah, as that's going to be Amumu running away. The Ezreal arcing shifts forward, will be hooked in by the Thresh, as now he is in some massive trouble, does have to flash away. The Shockwave is going to hit onto 2, and Udyr is here to collect himself a kill onto the Vhagar. Now, Thresh is trying to flash the wall, will be able to get over Amumu, trying to heal up just a little bit more. The Flay is going to come through, waits a second, hits the Blast Cone, and will be out of there. But that is a hot start, only getting hotter for the side of Dorado Gaming Zeta, as now the mid laner has picked himself up a kill.
Yeah, and Tryndamere has now taken 4 of the 5 plates, and we're just now hitting the 8-minute mark. I mean, honestly, if you're any top laner, even if you're Grand Champion, you're just immediately taking notes on what Fireflans is doing. Because I don't think I've ever seen a top laner execute this perfectly before.
Yeah, he is doing some pretty good stuff right now, as now the Orianna will be able to steal away that big Raptor, which is actually her team's by right. Amumu was just trying to take away what he could, as now the Udyr is going to be bot side, is going to invade this red buff. I don't know if he was spotted out. Either way, he is going to pretty easily take away this red buff. No one really allowed to contest him, especially when Rakan is in town as well. Amumu doesn't seem to be noticing, or doesn't seem to have the knowledge that this is occurring, so instead is just taking his own jungle instead of going for that enemy red buff.
Yeah, Tryndamere trying to figure out where exactly the Viego went, because, that Shadow Abyss is kind of annoying to deal with. And, well, there he is. But Tryndamere with 2 levels up, about 20 CS over him, 3-0 to 0-2. Yeah, Tryndamere could just kind of do whatever he wants in this lane, and Viego just has to respect it at this point.
Yeah, a lot of respect has to be given there, as now Thresh is looking for the play. The Flay is going to miss, unfortunately, so there's no play to be had there. So now Team Disco's bot lane just doing what they can to CS as well as they can, trying to get that lead going, but Ezreal is just too clean with his CSing.
Yeah, it looks like Udyr is wanting to start Rift Herald here, and I mean, he probably can't because mid lane and top lane is currently being won by his team, so they currently do control the river. So right now, yeah, it looks like Team Dorado is just kind of running away with this match right now.
Yeah, does seem to be the case, as now the Rift Herald is getting pretty low, should be going down shortly, as this top tower should end up dying without any assistance from Shelly, as that is, wow, that is a level 6 Viego versus a level 9 Tryndamere. Tryndamere just zoning him off of all the CS to exist ever, as now Viego's actually giving all of that space, realizing he cannot stay under his tower. Udyr unknown, probably topside, and they're correct. He is in fact topside, so Tryndamere just gets to take this tower, no problem. As this game probably just spirals out of control because of how the top side's going. However, if there's anything to be had, it would be in the bot side for Team Disco. If they could find a play, find something just to get Vayne off the ground, there would be a fighting chance for this team. But Vayne has been kind of left alone here for a second, as now the Thresh has returned, is going to try to hit this hook. Will he be able to do so? Nice dodge from the Ezreal to get himself out of the play. Is going to miss onto the Rakan. Does not quite cancel that E, as they are just getting styled on in the bot side. No deaths are going to occur as a result, but just a nice dodge play from there. Oh wait, the Thresh rather wants something out of this. He is taking a good little bit of damage. Ezreal should be able to be safe here, as Veigar is running in with that Predator. Gonna drop the baby cage, is going to do a decent little bit of damage, but Ezreal just arcane shifts out of there. As meanwhile on the top side, Tryndamere, there's no tower here, so he doesn't even have to ult. He's just running this man down like a dog. As Viego has been solo killed in the top lane. As Tryndamere, we're gonna see a lot more of that.
Yeah, now we're going to be seeing the mid tower going down. And like I said, this is basically just speedrun simulator for the side of Team Dorado, because they know how much Disco really wants to hit that late game. But by already punishing Viego this much...
It's 3 members in the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Shockwave is going to end up getting him killed, though, as that play does not work out at all. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Vayne trying to go for something, trying to go for the damage, but the ultimate's going to come out of the Ezreal. Will barely hit him, I believe, but still, Vayne and Thresh have to back off. They're just not able to get that damage done. You can't try to dive the Ezreal. He would do too much damage if it's just you two. You need one more person at least, preferably 4. That's why that play does not shape up the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate. We do see Tryndamere back. He does have his Gale Force already, as compared to Viego, who doesn't quite have much in the way of items. Already has his boots maxed out. Yeah, Tryndamare's just kind of running away with this game. We do see everyone else getting closer to their mythic items, so it is going to be interesting to see just how the rest of this battle.
Oh, nice hook onto the Ezreal. But a really great cleanse right after, as now the flash play is going to come forward, the box as well, as Veigar is here. Maybe this will be the play that gets them on the board. Ezreal has to run away, gets dropped in the baby cage. That's going to be a good bit of damage coming through, as now the Orianna is here to answer back. Does not have that shockwave available. Very close though. The Amumu going to go in. A nice sidestep from the Orianna to get away from that player. The Thresh is going to miss that death sentence as well, as the hook is going to drop right onto this Rakan. Rakan going to take a decent little bit of damage. It's just not enough, as they're looking for more. The knockup is going to force the flash out of the Veigar. As now, meanwhile, on the top side, Tryndamere doing what he can to find this tower, easily takes it away, is looking for more, though, is able to see that Viego, calls him a chicken. He gets a little sad and gets a little more slow, as Viego is forced to stay under his inhib tower now.
Yeah, it is currently Tryndamere 11, Viego 8. Just kind of a winnable forever. We do have Chemtech Soul online, everyone's favorite, hide in the gas, and just have a really fun time. Everyone loves this dragon. I've never seen any complaints about it ever in the history of League. 200 years of making this dragon.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tryndamere with Chemtech Soul is a really fun thing to play against. But in all seriousness, Chemtech Soul is pretty strong. I've heard a lot of people say that it's... Not a lot of people. I've heard some people claim that Chemtech Soul is a little bit overhyped, a little overhated, as now the poor Amumu is just getting picked off in his own jungle, not allowed to be there. The shockwave is what makes that possible firsthand. But of course, the speed of the Udyr, who runs in, stuns him, gets out of there. Very simple for him to do. as this game is snowballing slowly but surely out of control for Team Disco, as this gold lead is just getting bigger and bigger. Vayne also in some trouble, as now they are just going to come right out of those zones. They're looking for the Vayne, who ults and is going to be able to make it out of here, but at the cost of Team Disco's support in the Thresh. So they are able to get something. Veigar, meanwhile, trying to find the 1v1 against the Ezreal, as do see Vayne walking up for something. Don't think she needs to. Does not seem like the greatest idea in the world, as that will be another mid lane down. Oh no, there is a little bit more action in the bot lane, as Orianna does get stunned up, flashes the wall though, as Veigar uses the baby cage to buy himself some time. That's going to be ultimate from Ezreal, doing so much damage. The Q is going to find its mark, even without that W, since it got stuck on the tower. But finally, the action dies down.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I love playing Veigar anytime I have to fill mid lane, but I really hate whenever you drop the baby cage, you stun nobody, because then you know as soon as that cage is down, you're just gonna have the entire team jumping on your perimeter, and you're like, well, it was fun knowing you guys.
Yep, it's why you kind of have to. You can use it preventive if you can, get away from that area. But when you're under tower, gotta predict it, which is again very difficult. Way easier said than done. But yeah, or at least see them moving towards you, get them more under tower, then drop it, try to get them inside of it at the very least, so you can make plays around it. But if you just drop it preemptively under tower, you're just going to die a little bit later, maybe if you had someone on the way, but there was nobody coming to save this poor Veigar.
Yeah, and as we see, it is currently only 9-1, a little bit more one-sided than last game. Trindamere 401 with a 550 gold bounty on his head. We are starting to see a lot of the mythic items come out. Amumu still working towards his mythic item, but we do see Udyr with, once again, the Chemtech. I definitely would believe that this is Cafe's favorite item, as we are seeing it on 2 characters in a row. Probably not a coincidence.
Probably not, as we're going to see Trindamere start walking forward, does see a Veigar and goes, no, there's at least 2 of them here, I'm good. As, gotta remember, Trindamere still has a bounty on its head, and one of the win conditions, something that is going to sound ridiculous to say, but is how you keep the mental up, is you're like looking for win cons and you're going, all right guys, we just need to collect these bounties. The 550 gold one on Trindamere, and oh god, that's not possible, is it? We're never collecting that bounty. So, oh, it went up to 600 now too, so even more of an incentive to try to kill this man. But Trindamere, rather unkillable. They're going to make an attempt, though, give it a good old college try, as they're going to drop that baby cage down on top of him, as he has nowhere to go. But he does have a team to respond, as now Thresh is going to cancel that teleport, do what he can to 1v1 her for now. The Curse of the Sad Mummy going to drop down. Vayne looking for the kill, will be able to find herself a shutdown, as now the Trindamere is fighting forward, trying to do what he can, is doing so much. The Gale Force going to drop. That's going to be 900 gold going into the pockets of the I can't remember his name. Veigar, thank you so much, voice in my head. There it is, as he's able to collect that money for himself on top of that one because of my brain fart. Sorry about that. They're going to drop that Rift Herald, and that's going to be a lot of objectives coming through. But it's also still a lot of money in the pockets of your carries, so I think that's kind of worth.
Yeah, now we also have Udyr walking over to grab that Chem Dragon because it is up at the moment. Definitely not going to be contested at all. This is going to be a free dragon. I do also want to point out, I may be wrong on this and maybe just oblivious, but I do believe that is the first time Trindamere has ulted this game.
Yeah, he hasn't really needed to ever. Every time that there's a play somewhere or in the top lane, every time he got a kill, he was just straight up auto attacking the other guy to death, just diffing him without using one of his most prominent abilities. As Ezreal is going to look to do some damage, not going to do a whole lot though. Meanwhile, everyone just kind of goes back to farming, going to chill out a little bit. As still a 10k gold lead even after those bounties have been collected, but that just shows you how far ahead they already were beforehand for the side of the dogs.
I want to give a big shout out to Joker real quick because I saw him dump that ultimate, which we thought it was just kind of to help zone out that Viego. I'm sure this was 100% intentional, but he did actually hit the Vayne as she recalled, so she did tank an Ezreal ult in her spawn. It didn't kill her, but I did see that health bar drop a whole lot. And then of course the fountain just filled her back up, but just something for the Joker to look back on and go, yeah, I hit those.
Yeah, all day.
100% intentional.
Go for those grand slams where you hit them right as they recall with your ultimate. Just
Yeah. Get your MLG montage ready.
absolutely. So we'll see what this. Oh, this Veigar is trying to contest the Tryndamere. We'll need a little bit of assistance with that. Would honestly need one more other than Vayne, as they seem to know that Tryndamere's like thinking that maybe they're bringing some more friends over his way, so they're just gonna go do the Baron, who will not realistically be able to handle them. As now Vayne was sitting on a pink ward. I don't know if she ulted. I don't think she does. Doesn't matter. She's dead. She's gone. She will flash, but it's only a matter of time. Tryndamere doing what he can to get in there. Curse of the Sad Mummy gonna stop a lot of these advances, but Veigar's still gonna go down at the end of that one. Tryndamere gonna get himself a kill, as well as that Viego going down at the end of that one, as everyone besides the Thresh ends up dying for the Vayne sins, and the Baron will go over it.
Yeah, this is just kind of. I believe that this Baron is going to be the game ender. Like you said, this is speedrun simulator. They want to beat that 30-minute mark before Team Disco gets a little out of hand and takes over the dance floor. But definitely don't want to say that Team Disco is going to be coming back in this one, as it's 3-15, and what is that, a 14k gold difference?
Yeah, it's closer to 13k. It's
Math isn't my strong suit.
that is okay. That's why they have something to tell us for us NA or LCS enjoyers. They just have the number now for us. Makes it a lot easier. We don't have that kind of technology. Unfortunately, we have to do it in our minds, which is
As a voice in my head has informed me, it is 21 minutes, so Vayne is now scaling.
Yeah,
so there is a chance.
True. Does have that rage knife, as well as I believe that shield bow on top of that as well, to help deal with the Tryndamere that will inevitably be trying to murder her face off. As we'll see.
My favorite item on the Vayne right now is that refillable potion. A very interesting pickup on the side of Vayne. I also want to point out she hasn't died yet, so she's clearly doing something right.
Okay. I'm going to say yes, she is doing right by being alive. But there was that one play around the Baron where she was sitting on a pink ward and got 3 of her. Hold on a second, as there might be a fight brewing. As nope, it's just a lot of poke coming through. Nothing too committed to this fight. But anyway, the Vayne sitting on that pink ward does end up getting 3 of her teammates killed. So she's like, well, I'm not dead, but everybody else on my team seems to have fallen. And that's just kind of what happens sometimes when you're playing ADC. Very rare that it ends up being that way. But
I mean, as long as you have 0 deaths, your team can't blame you for inting.
That, you know what? True. Very true. As we'll see what they're able to get done. Seems like they're just going to go ahead and lawnmower this entire base, take every single inhibitor known to man. They've gotten 2 already. And once again, just like game number 1, the dog's not leaving at all. Baby Cage has dropped onto Ezreal, but he just arcane shifts out of there. Tryndamere is doing his best to get some damage down onto this inhibitor. We'll be able to easily take it with some help from the Udyr. Now they're just probably going to wait for supers. That is a nice pick onto the Orianna. Will they be able to take her down? There it is. They finally managed to find themselves a kill. A double kill for the Thresh. Support going off right now, but Viego has become Rakan, and that's not going to be fun to deal with at all, as now Ezreal has been shut down by the Vayne, and that overcommit in the base may give Team Disco some life. Yes, they are still 13k gold down, but they will get themselves, get this, a dragon, as now Tryndamere run away, so has that ultimate available. Udyr as well going to be able to run out of this one, as Tryndamere is just going to go bot lane and pressure this lane, try to get that tower as well, as Udyr is going to probably just try to stop backs. That will most likely be the call. Hopefully they don't commit to chasing him down. They do not, as Tryndamere is in the base going for a little bit more, as he might run into some trouble, or there's a trouble for Vayne. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, it definitely seems that Tryndamere is just kind of zoning out the enemy, trying to make sure that the waves don't push out too far from the enemy base, because with 3 inhibitors down, this is just kind of a tower defense game at this point for the side of Team Disco.
I see this as an absolute win. There are 3 waves of super minions coming in for my full scaling comp. Thank you for the free money, fools. As
Yeah.
they're gonna go ahead and collect all that money. Of course, they gotta last at them. So if they don't last at them, it's pretty doomed. So they should be able to last hit these super minions no problem. That's going to be like, I believe that's what, 270 gold per wave or something like that. Or if there are 2 super minions per wave, it's going to be even more because there's 3 waves of super minions coming in. So I mean, like, you have a lot of money to be collected right now, which is kind of nuts if you think about that, right? So that's 180 gold walking into your base. Of course, it's also pressure, so that's not
Yeah.
great.
I mean, they did also get the dragon, which did also give them the bounty objective gold, which is split evenly among all 5 members. So although it's not that much, it is a nice little bonus. But of course, here comes the enemy team
Oh.
just walking into them.
Yeah, and doing a good bit of damage on top of that. Maybe they'll be able to find some kills, but of course all these cooldowns are up for the side of Dog, so it's only a matter of time. They're just focusing these towers down, gunning those easily. As now Viego not able to get exactly what he wanted. A Mumu going in, trying to find something. As now Trinamir is here, will not be stunned up, will not be taking enough damage. Curse of the Sad Mummy gonna drop as now everybody's going in. Rakan doing what he can. Trinamir's on the back line, will be able to find that. Veigar is down. Everybody's down. Vayne's the only one alive. She's being run down though. And finally, they drop the enemy ADC as well as the Nexus short to follow. And that's gonna be a clean 2-0 for Dorado Gaming Zeta.
Well, I actually wanted to point out that at the start of this, I did predict that they would be winning 2-0. So clearly, I have 100% pick rate. This is now, I guess, the point where I jokingly retire with 100% pick rate. Best caster you've ever seen. And as we look, we do see actually Oriana with the most damage in the entire lobby. Udyr just kind of farmed the whole game.
Yeah, did not need to do damage. Even if he was in these fights, probably wasn't going to do a lot of damage. Was likely just going to be there for his funny little auto attack CC. Meanwhile, though, Tryndamere out damaging everybody on the enemy team. Ezreal out damaging everybody on the enemy team. Oriana, of course, out damaging everybody in the game. So I mean, that already tells you the story of how this game went. Yes, a lot of it was through topside, but that very easily bled over. And when you have 2 scaling ADCs, the one that's probably going to end up winning is the one whose team did really well beforehand, and that's exactly what Tryndamere did.
Yeah, like I said, we just had a really bad case of early game composition versus an extremely late scaling game composition. And unfortunately, the early game, 90% of the time, will always come out victorious in that scenario. I mean, it is what it is. You took the chance. Maybe the game would run late. Maybe you thought the enemy would troll you and you would get that late game advantage and run it back into a game 3. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So we are going to be seeing Team Dorado starting their season off with a victory. So you know they're going to be in a really good positive attitude moving forward.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
definitely the case. Very well said. Couldn't have articulated it better myself. I gotta say, Team Disco. It looked like for just a minute there, at about 25 minutes, it looked like aptly enough they were trying to stay alive, but they didn't really manage to do it. And unfortunately, they went out in pretty uh, how do I put this kindly? Stompy fashion, game one and game two. But you know what? They went out there, they gave their best effort. They really tried. They banked on the scaling, and as you said, it didn't work. But yeah, these things happen. As you mentioned, Dorado Gaming definitely feeling good after that one. Definitely feeling real strong. I mean, you have to after stomping games like that, and it's just gonna be interesting to see how they do moving through the rest of Group C. But that's going to be more or less it for us tonight here on Victoris GG2. We will be back, of course, same time, well, not same place, same time, different place next Thursday. We will be on the main channel for the next game here out of the Rivals series. So I would like to thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It was a banger. And thank you
It
so
was a
much.
something.
It definitely happened. This was one of the series ever played in League of Legends. Big ups to my great casters tonight, Shogun and Kongman. You guys absolutely killed it. And when there's so much killing going on in the games, it can be difficult to keep up with. But you guys really nailed it down. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to all you out there at home who watched. Have a great rest of the evening, and we will see you real soon for more VRS. Easy.